Hi everyone, hope you all doing well. Welcome back to our channel. In this video, I'm going to help you in onboarding Windows servers to Azure ARC from Group Policy Object. Now, if you're watching the series from the beginning, in the last video, we have discussed about the option of onboarding at scale, wherein a service principal can be used to onboard machines. Whereas in this video, I'm going to talk about the end-to-end workflow for onboarding machines to Azure ARC with the help of Group Policy Object. Now, even though there is a dedicated option available termed as Group Policy on the console, these are the set of options which have been recently introduced. Still, I'm going to use this basic script for the deployment, and there are many reasons for that. I will cover them in the next video, but for now I'm going to use this option instead of this one as I was not getting consistent behavior. Okay, now I'm also going to use a custom tag, and the value will be deployment mode GPO. Now the reason behind doing this, because when we'll go on and when we'll talk about Azure Resource Graph, I'm going to use this value to create dashboards. Lastly, we'll talk about how to check logs on Azure portal, as well as how to check logs on machine to verify if onboarding is working as expected or not. Now, there are certain prerequisites that you have to keep in mind before going ahead with this video. The first one is you must be onboarding the servers which are running supported version of Windows OS. All the network URLs required for Azure ARC must be whitelisted, and the target machines where you're going to deploy a GPO should be able to communicate with the actual server where the GPO has to be created. Now, this is something which is very basic, but at times, since the machine is not able to contact the respective server from where it has to get Group Policy Object, you may get inconsistent behavior. Now, one more very important note that I want to highlight here, and that is there are certain keywords which are reserved and can't be used as resource name. Now, whenever the onboarding script gets initiated on a device, or let's say on a server, then it goes ahead and check for the host name of the machine. Okay, and then host name is being used as a resource name right after the resource type. Okay, so if your machine has host name, which is one of the reserved keywords, then your machine will not be onboarded and you will get an error on Azure portal as well as on the device. So this is that particular article. I will be sharing the link in the description. If you have some time, please go ahead and review this article. Now for this demo, I'm using exchange keyword to show you what the behavior will be if at all your machine that you're trying to onboard contains a reserved keyword. Now let's talk about the end-to-end workflow. Step number one will be generating script from Azure portal by selecting a respective resource group and applying a custom tag. Then on my server, I will create a network share, and in that network share, I'll keep my onboarding script. The next step will be creation of a GPO in order to schedule a task that can run the onboarding script from network share. Then I'll scope that GPO to the OU, which contains the computer object, and I will initiate GPO update on the machine as well as on the server. Once that scheduled task is completed, then we'll go ahead and check the events on the machine as well as on the Azure portal. Now, resources that I will be using for this demo are mentioned here. So I have three machines precisely. The first one is PDC, where I will be creating Group Policy Object. And then I have two machines where this GPO will be scoped. Okay. Now in this machine itself, I have an E drive in which there is a folder called shared script. And inside this folder, I'm going to place my onboarding script. Now on the same server, I'm going to create a Group Policy Object, and I'm going to give it a name, which is Windows Onboard -Azure ARC. And the purpose of this GPO is to run a task, or is to schedule a task on the machine that will run this particular script. Okay. Now, once this GPO will be created, I will be linking that GPO to my OU, which is arc-onboarded servers. And then I will move these objects to this particular OU so that the respective onboarding can be completed. Okay. Now, in these kind of deployments, there are many issues which are related to permissions. So for this particular demo, at the folder level itself, while sharing, I have specifically given permission to both of my objects in order to have full control. Okay, this is something which I have done at the folder level, but then from the file permissions perspective as well, I have manually given the permission to read and execute. Okay, so make sure you complete these two processes first and then go ahead with the GPO creation. This is something which is really important, because if at all the machine cannot access this particular script, your task will not be completed and you will get some random error on task scheduler itself. Okay, so there are two different scenarios which I'm going to cover. The first one is wherein I have a machine which has a host name exchange. Now remember, this keyword is blocked. So the expected behavior is Azure ARC agent will get installed on the machine. The installation will get completed, but the registration of that particular machine for Azure ARC service will fail. And in the activity log, we'll get this message that the machine that you're trying to onboard contains a reserved keyword. And this is the same set of information which can also be checked on the machines by reviewing the logs. Okay, so first scenario, host name is exchange, the agent or let's say ARC connected machine installation will get completed, but then the machine will not get registered in Azure. Now the next scenario is wherein I'm using a name which is very generic and it is not a reserved keyword. In this scenario, the installation will happen, the machine will get registered in Azure, as well as I can check the same information in the form of logs on the machine itself. Okay, so now let me switch to my server where I'm going to walk you through with each and every step that I have discussed, and then things will make a lot more sense. So what you see now is one of my browser where I have signed into portal.azure.com, and now I've clicked on Azure ARC, and then I've clicked on add, and now I'm going to click on add multiple server generated script. Now practically no option required here, so I'm going to click on next. Now here I'm going to select my resource group, which is Azure ARC-servers. Now in region, I'm going to select my region, which is Central India. And then in operating system, I'll keep it Windows. In connectivity method, no change. And in service principal, I'm going to select ARC Onboard. And then I'm going to click on next. Now in the tag name, I'm going to type deployment methods or mode, let's say. And in the value, I'm going to type GPO. Now the reason behind doing this, because I'm going to use this value in Azure resource graph queries. Now this is something which I've explained before as well, that even though this option is available for group policy, I'm not going to use this option because I was not getting consistent results. So I'm going to use this option of basic script, and I'm going to download this script and copy this script into a network share on one of my server where the host name is PDC. So this is that particular server, and as you can see, this is my script. Now the only change that I have done is I have populated the value of service principal secret now, which was not there on the portal. And as you can see, deployment mode is showing as value GPO. Okay, so the script that I have downloaded from the portal, which was my first step, is now sitting on a network share, which is pdc/shared script. And then the second step was to copy that particular script. So it exists here, and now I'm going to grant the permissions which are required, right? So on this particular folder, I have manually granted the permission to both of my computer objects so that they can access this particular location. As well as for the file itself, I'm going to manually add the permission by selecting computers object type. And now I'm going to type the host name of both the machine, which is ITSM and Exchange. Okay. So this is the third step where I am manually granting the permission for both the objects to access the shared location as well as the file in system context. Okay. Now, as you can see that for now, these two objects exist in computer OU, but I will move them to ARC-onboard servers OU once I'm done with the GPO configuration. Now, the next step is to create GPO. So I'm inside gpmc.msc group policy object and I have clicked on new. And now I'm going to give a name to the group policy, which is Windows Onboard -Azure ARC. Now, the purpose of this group policy is to create a scheduled task that is going to run the script itself. Okay. So inside computer configuration, I'm going to preferences, then I'll go to control panel settings, and then I'll go to schedule task. And here I'm going to click on this new option and then select the third option, which is scheduled task. Now, the reason behind selecting the third option is that you will get a lot of options to customize, which includes triggers, actions, and whatnot. Okay. So I'm just going to name this task as, let's say, Azure ARC onboarding-server. Okay. So there is a typo, which is fine. And in the description, I'm going to type this task should onboard the machine to Azure ARC. And in the account section, I'm going to type entity authority /system. Okay. Now there is a mistake which I'm doing deliberately to show you what will happen if you will keep entity authority /system. Okay. Now in the trigger section, I'm going to define a trigger. That means when exactly this task should run. Okay. So right now it's 1:56. Let's run this task in next 15 minutes around 2:15. In the next section, practically speaking, you can choose how many days, or let's say for how many days this task should run on a specific schedule. I'll just keep it 1 here. And then since there are multiple use cases that I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to repeat this task in every 30 minutes, let's say for 12 hours. There will be 2 different executions that I will be showing you, but this is what I am doing. Be very precise while choosing these options for your environment. You may just want to run it once, or let's say for 2-3 times for specific hours. I mean, you can choose all the different set of options which are available here, right? Now, the next thing is actions. So which means that around 2:15 p.m., what exactly I want this task to do. So this task should open PowerShell. As you can see, start a program, and this is a particular location from where the PowerShell has to be executed, which is C, Windows System 32, Windows PowerShell v1.0, and then PowerShell.exe. But then this is the command which has to be executed, which means I'm just bypassing the current execution policy. And then I'm asking the PowerShell to run the script, which is saved in this particular location, which is //pdc, the host name of my server, share the script, the folder name, and then the actual name of the file itself. Okay. Now be very specific with these kind of settings, because majorly speaking, I mean, you will get a lot of issues if either the server doesn't have the proper permissions, or let's say the server cannot access a specific file saved in this location. Okay. Now I'm not going to make any change in condition setting or common section. That's all. And now I'm going to click on apply. Okay. Now I'm again going to relaunch this because the settings that I have selected were not appropriate. As you can see, this account detail has changed now. So the actual name that you have to type here is NT authority /system instead of /. And as you can see now, the second option is also highlighted, right? Which was not the case before. Okay. So I'll quickly go ahead and change this value to the required permission, which is NT authority /system. And then I'm going to click on apply and OK. That's it. No changes required in trigger, action, or let's say any of these other sections. Everything remains same. It has to run the PowerShell by using this particular command and go to this particular location and execute script. No change in condition, setting, or common section. Apply. Okay, that's it. Now my task is ready to get executed on the machine. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to my GPO, which is this one, GPO console. And now I'm going to link my GPO to this particular OU, which is ARC-onboarded servers. And then my GPO name is Windows Onboard-Azure ARC. Okay. So for now, GPO is created. The task has been scheduled. GPO has been linked to my OU. And I have initiated GP update on the server to make sure everything gets applied. Okay. But the issue is I have not moved the objects yet, right? So now I'm going to move these two objects to my OU where the GPO is linked, right? Now, if I click on this, you can see both the objects are getting listed over here. And I'm again going to run GP update /force just to make sure the group policy object reaches both the device. And then we can just go ahead and see what's happening on the device, whether the task is getting scheduled or not, whether the GPO is applied or not. So these are small steps which you have to keep in mind and be very specific about the deployment, because when it comes to GPO itself, there is no central logging system, right? I mean, you have to do GPO troubleshooting first to reach to the root cause if a specific setting is not working. Okay. So now I'm going to run, let's say, GP results /v on one of my machines. And if I'll scroll up, as you can see, it is not showing me the GPO. So let's just check the host name. Okay. So this is ITSM tool. Okay. So now let's do something that since the GPO is not getting listed, let's just run GP update /force and see if this machine can query the new changes. Now, if you remember in the prerequisite section, I was saying that your machine should be able to communicate with the actual server where the policy has been created. So this is what it is. I mean, if the machine itself is not receiving the GPO, then it will not work, right? So as you can see now, ITSM, one of my machine, is receiving the policy. Now this is my other machine, which is having the hostname exchange. I'll just go ahead and run GP update /force just to make sure GPO is applied to this particular machine as well. And hopefully it should list down, the name of the GPO that we have just created. So I'll again go ahead and run the GP result command because I can see computer policy has been completed successfully. So I'll do GP result /v on the other server, which has hostname exchange. Okay. So now on both the machines, ITSM as well as exchange, the GPO is applied. Okay. This means that there should be a task which has been scheduled that should run the script, right? And as you can see, the first task that is getting listed over here is showing the same set of configuration that we have defined. Okay. So let's say if I go to the action section, it is going to run PowerShell. And this is the command that we have defined. Let's go to the other server as well and quickly check whether the same task is scheduled or not. So now I'll go back to the other server, which was ITSM. And then we'll see whether the, whether the tool or on this particular machine, whether the task has been scheduled or not. Okay. So I'll go to task scheduler now, and you can see on both the servers, practically speaking, the task has been scheduled. Okay. And it is going to run the same command, and it is going to run the script, and everything is in place, right? Now, what I'll do is I'll just fast forward this video to reach 2:15. Right now it's 2:05, so it's almost 10 minutes remaining. And once the task is initiated, I'll show you the behavior. Okay. So yeah, now it's almost there. Yeah. So as you can see, couple of seconds remaining now. Okay. So yeah, now the expected behavior is the task might have initiated, and then it is installing the respective set of files, or let's say client. So if I'll click on history, it will show me the details whether the task initiated or not. And as you can see, it is showing me action started. Okay. This is my other server. I'll click on history, and then I'll click on, I'll just see whether the task is initiated or not. And yes, here also it is showing that it has been started. Perfect. And you can also see at the bottom, it was showing NT authority system. Now, one more verification that you can do, and that is Windows installer module will get initiated, which means the application is getting installed, or the agent is getting installed under the hood. And if I open appwiz.cpl, you can see Azure ARC connected machine agent is getting listed here. Right now it's 2:16 and it's only 1 minute. So on this particular machine, I can see that if I go to program files, Azure ARC connected machine agent is showing as installed, and then all the respective files and everything will be there. Now, for all obvious reasons, I would suggest you to leave this for at least 10-15 minutes, and then go ahead and check logs if you can't find a machine on the portal. Okay. So this other machine, which is Exchange, here also, if you remember what I was showing in the deck, right? The agent will get installed. There is no doubt about it. But the machine will not be registered because it is having a reserved keyword. Let me just show you this on the console itself. Okay. So let's say if I go to activity log now, and then I will go ahead and search for one very specific log type, which is write Azure ARC. I mean, this is the name of the logging that you have to check, because here exactly you will get that error, which I was referring in the deck itself. Okay. So if I'll select this and I'll just refresh the portal, you can see I'm getting a message which is 3 minutes old. And the message is that writing an Azure ARC machine, or let's say an Azure ARC registration, has been failed, because you can see the host name was queried and it is a part of resource name itself, right? So this is what it is end to end. The resource name Exchange is a part of name, which is a reserved keyword or a trademark. Okay. Now if I go back to machine, and if I go ahead and check the logs on the machine, which is Exchange machine, then the actual logs on the AZCMA agent logs, to be very precise, on the machine itself will also show you the same information. Okay. So as I've said before, the agent will get installed. There is no issue with the installation. But while the agent is about to get connected to Azure, that is something which is going to fail. Okay. You can see all the files here. Everything is perfect. Now let's go to that folder where we get all the logs. So I'll go to program data, and then inside this Azure connected machine agent, I'll go to this particular folder of logs. And here I'm going to launch the first file itself. And at the bottom of this file itself, I'll find the same message. okay, which says that this machine cannot be registered because it is having a keyword, or let's say the host name is a part of reserved trademark, or let's say it's a trademark or reserved word. I mean, the message is same if you'll compare it from the portal as well as on the machine, okay? But the issue is the other machine, which is ITSM tool, is also not getting listed, okay? Even though the ARC agent is installed and everything is in place, okay? So now let's go ahead and check the logs on the machine. So this is my ITSM machine, and I'm going to launch AZCMA agent logs file, the first one here, just to see what is happening, okay? Now I'll come to the bottom, and hopefully there has to be some network issues. Yeah. And as you can see, required endpoints unavailable at the bottom, the last line, and it is showing you all the respective endpoints, okay? Now again, this is a mistake that I have done deliberately to show you how you should troubleshoot, how you should reach to the roots of an issue, and where you can find all the details. So though there will be a dedicated video talking about the entire architecture end to end, but still I'm trying to include as much information as possible, okay? So right now, this task will run in next 30 minutes. So let's just go ahead and run a command which will show me what or which endpoints are not reachable, okay? So for that, you have to launch PowerShell and type AZCMA agent check space -- location and the location that you have selected in the script. This is the command that you have to type. Now, typically, this command will only be initiated once Azure agent is installed. It is not something that's available out of the box. So once Azure ARC agent is installed, then only you can run these commands. And as you can see, all the URLs are not reachable. Now, I know the reason why it is not reachable because I have made some changes in the DNS of this machine itself. So now I'm going to fix that, okay? And I'll make sure that in the next run, whenever this script is getting initiated, all the URLs are available so that there should be no issues. And this machine should get registered to Azure ARC without any issues. So as you can see, while I was explaining this, I've also fixed the network part of this particular machine. And now this machine can contact all the URLs. Okay. So if whenever, let's say, the next schedule is there for this particular machine, the ARC agent registration will be completed. So the next schedule is around 2:45 and right now it's 2:26. Okay. So again, around 10-15 minutes remaining. So I have fast forwarded the video for you and you can see now right now it's 2:45. And then let's just refresh this task once again and see if the task is running or not. Now this time, since the agent already exists, it is not going to again, download and do everything because all these logic or all these conditions are already predefined. But once the script is completed, you will see the server getting listed on the portal itself, which is this one, which is ITSM tool. And again, if I open the log file, you can see it is now able to contact all the URLs. Everything is in place, no issues. So the last thing that I would like to talk about now is this particular task, which gets scheduled automatically. And the purpose of this task is to go ahead and check whether a new agent for Azure ARC is available or not. Okay. And where exactly this file exists, you have to go to program files and then scroll down and you will see the file getting listed over here, which is AZCMA check for updates. So this was all about knowing how the onboarding of Windows servers work. While using group policy object, we have covered the entire workflow and how to use custom tag. What is the purpose of that? We have also checked how to review logs on the portal as well as on the machine. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to onboard Linux servers to Azure ARC. Now, if you think that this channel is helping you to learn anything new, Please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.